not okay. We want to know. Lost in your eyes, Paris night skies, both hypnotized. Find a way, find a way. Spend the night with you in Paris, Lord. So unfair, you left me there. Took the 9:35 from Paris, Lord. In a heartbeat, you were gone. Chips in the night, love at first sight, holding you tight. Find a way, find a way. Spend the night with you in Paris, so unfair. You left me there. Choose the 9:35 from Paris, left with just her aroma from my standstill adventure. Now I'm stuck in a world of regret. And it's 9:35. I'm not happy, but I feel alive. So much I wanted to say, but now it's too late. Find a way, find a way. Spend the night with you in Paris, Lord. So unfair, you left me there. Took the 9:35 from Paris, Lord.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream Saturday, and I hope you guys have had a good week and that your weekend has started well as well. So here in the UK, things are still really hot, a lot hotter than they should be really, and it means that we've got the air conditioning turned up to 11 again tonight. And I think tonight is a little bit warmer than it was on Tuesday, and Tuesday was already quite warm. So we'll just have to deal with it, but I'm very lucky that I've got air conditioning and that I won't overheat too much. But things always tend to heat up in this room the longer the live stream goes on, and with lights, even though they're LED lights, I think that all kind of heats up the atmosphere. And of course, me talking for so long is a lot of hot air, so it tends to warm up the room. But anyway, yes, thank you guys for joining me tonight. And yes, we opened up with Paris Nord. Thank you guys for requesting that over on Patreon. And I did see somebody say, has anyone checked Phil's voice for auto-tune? And as you would have it, yes, somebody has. And somebody did a video, and I think they were obviously a smaller channel trying to get views, and their title was something like Phil from Wings of Pegasus is he using pitch correction? I think it was, rather than auto-tune. But anyway, the whole point of kind of the thumbnail and the title was a kind of clickbait thing, because then they showed in the video that my voice just lands where it lands. And I've said openly that I don't use pitch correction, and I don't use auto-tune on my voice. It's just something artistically that I choose not to use, because I want to be able to sing everything myself. So yeah, I have been tested for it and cleared. And what else was it? I think Paris Nord was one of the songs that I featured in a video when somebody was looking at the lines of pitch on the pitch monitoring software, and they'd squashed all the lines together, so there were about kind of 3 octaves worth of notes. So it looked like my vocals were really close or on the lines all the time, but then when you zoom in, like with my analysis videos, it was clear that, unfortunately, I think I'm relatively accurate, but I say unfortunately, it's fortunate that I wasn't on the lines, because then it'll start to sound a little bit mechanical, and that just unfortunately means that the vocals are edited when they are on the lines of A440 standard pitch equal temperament all the time. And I don't know which video that was, but I even sang Paris Nord into the microphone in a live scenario in that analysis video. I just sang it into the microphone and could then compare my vocals sitting down and singing it into the mic with actually when I recorded it in the studio setting of really concentrating. So I think from memory my accuracy was relatively close. I mean, it should have been relatively close because I just did the same thing as I did when I recorded it. So yeah, that was just to show that if you do work at pitch, you can get quite good at getting close to lines, but yeah, you won't be on them all the time. So anyway, let's now get the names of my patrons up on screen, and let's have a look at you guys in the live chat room. And I don't know whether it is, Jason said it was just a throwaway comment, no offense, with the smiley face, and I don't know whether that's related to what I've just been talking about, but yeah, I don't take offense with any comment that is made on the channel. As you guys will know, with my comment section, they're all still in there, even the trolls and people that are saying things that aren't particularly positive for the channel or myself, or what I'm pointing out about particular performances. But as I always say, it's just objective data, and that's all it is. Whatever your emotional reaction to it, I can't help that. So yeah, don't worry about comments or anything. I don't get offended if somebody says that they think I use pitch correction or auto-tune. In fact, I think that's probably, considering that I've learned to sing, it's probably a compliment for how close I can get to notes, considering that I've worked at it, and that's just the way that I wanted to do it. But anyway, yeah, let's give you guys a shout out in the live chat room tonight. We have in there Karen, Love How Loud Can. It's going through too quickly, so I'll move a little bit further down. Bob's in there, Corey, Debbie, Daisy, Diane, Alison, Felix DK, Jason, again, Teresa, Rowe, Gail, Karen, Rose, Tammy, Daisy, Suzanne, Lee, Barbara, Phaedra, Ninja Kitty, Laurie, Howard, Alison, Sarah. Hello everybody, thank you for joining me tonight. Now, let's get the likes goal up on the screen to see what we are aiming for tonight. And the likes goal for tonight is set at 420. So if you could give a thumbs up as you come through the door, it would be very much appreciated to see if we can get close to that target, maybe even hit that target, and then we'll bust out the guitar and have a jam at the end of the live stream. And yes, the jams at the end of the live stream are fully live, and those aren't pitch corrected or auto-tuned. And some people have said in the comment section about that, whether instruments will start to be pitch corrected and auto-tuned in the future, because during live performances sometimes stringed instruments do go out of tune, as we saw in the Ed Sheeran video where his guitar was sharp, but his voice has been calibrated to A440 standard pitch equal temperament, meaning that his voice is now flat compared to the accompaniment, so it made it sound a bit weird. But we listened to the isolated vocal and it sounded a bit weird by itself anyway, because of the processing sound and it working to keep the note there. Right, I will make another video on that particular video, because I've now been sent crowd footage of the same performance, but I'll explain everything in the analysis video. But it's interesting as to what's gone on, because some people were sending videos saying this is live from the 7th, because he did like the 6th and the 7th, I believe it must have been July. So there are two performances out there, and some people were saying, oh, here's a video of the live performance, but then it didn't quite match up because that was on the 6th, and then somebody else sent something from the 7th. But there are parts of the 7th that don't match up with the official video. So what I've got now, I think, is a bit of a Frankenstein of both of those performances, which is a normal thing. So when big name artists have maybe 2 shows or even more shows than that in a particular place, they have a live performance that they release, but that live performance is cut up from multiple performances. And that's what has happened with Ed Sheeran's performance, that it says live in Marseille, but what it actually means is live with the best parts taken from both shows and put together as one song. And yeah, I know, I mean, this is now getting into another realm of people, you know, might think, well, if it's saying that it's a live performance, they're not saying that it's made up of lots of different performances. People are assuming they're seeing one song. And this is why some people said, oh, no, it's not the 6th, it's the 7th. And the people saying, oh, no, it's not the 7th, it's the 6th. So they're all arguing against each other, not knowing that the video footage has been pieced together. And indeed, I believe the audio has been pieced together as well. But the good thing is that I can take a section, all I need is a section that happened on one particular date, and for that to be the performance where the crowd's shot footage is from, and then we can compare directly as to what's going on. So yeah, we will have an update video on that, because I think it's great to do update videos when we have more data, because I always say in my analysis videos about things being pitch corrected or auto-tuned, but when we're working with something like that where we haven't got the crowd shot footage, I'm basing it on what I've done over the last 10 years, where I can look at, you know, A440 and look at the graph and say, well, yeah, we're hitting lines way too regularly here for it to be a natural human voice. Therefore, my conclusion is that it is pitch corrected or it is auto-tuned. So when I say that on a performance, it's based on my knowledge and my experience of 10 years of doing analysis videos and looking at the best voices of all time in a lot of detail. But then when we get more information on it, then I can show on screen whether my conclusion was correct or incorrect. And so far on the channel, I'm very happy to say that I haven't yet been proven wrong with looking at a voice and me saying that it's pitch corrected or auto-tuned. And when we then get more data, it's always backed up what I've concluded from the video that I've been sent, from the audio that we've listened to. So we'll see what happens with the Ed Sheeran video as to what lines up, what maybe doesn't line up with the crowd shot footage. So yeah, we'll get into that probably next week sometime. A lot of requests for a look at, you know, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, the final gig. And yeah, I mean, what an event that was, and so many amazing bands and artists that were on that stage. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of emails for it, and generally when this happens, I just do the video and kind of get it out there to stop all of the emails coming through. And I think it's one that a lot of people want to see, because we've got different things that were going on and why people are confused about it and why I'm getting so many messages, and probably why videos are disappearing so quickly. I mean, every time I'm clicking on a video, if it is available, it then disappears after a few hours. So yeah, I do though have crowd shot footage of a whole song and the official TV footage of a whole song, so I can point out exactly what was going on. And yeah, I mean, it is interesting with what they've done with it, but I've also seen a major news outlet doing a story on the show, and they don't know what they're listening to. They don't actually know what they're looking at and what they're listening to. So I'll point that out as well, because I'm starting to see that a lot, that there are organisations that should know better. They should have an expert who looks at it and says, oh right, well what this is that. So don't do a whole story about something where you're actually looking at stuff that's incorrect. You don't even know what you're looking at. So all of these statements you've made about the performance are actually incorrect, because there's got to be some kind of quality control. But then again, we're talking about news media, so maybe that doesn't happen anymore. But they'll be able to look to my analysis video that I'll do probably next week sometime, just because it's been demanded so much. So anyway, let me now get the donations tab up on screen, because you don't have to donate, just watching is great. And for those people that can't resist, I think it's important that you know between 3 and 5% goes to PayPal through the PayPal link, which you can find in the description below, and between 45 and 60% goes to YouTube, and that's through the super chat window. But I mean, just a final word on that Black Sabbath show. In this particular article, they did state, and I totally agree with this, that show, it wasn't about vocal accuracy or anything like that, especially when you're talking about Ozzy and different health problems that he's had. It was just a final show, just something to drop the curtain to, and for fans to have that last farewell. So I totally agreed with the angle that this particular news organization gave it. It didn't really matter about the sound, but as you guys know, I will jump into the sound and be able to point out, even though it wasn't about the sound, the things that have happened to the sound. And different things happened to different people that were listening to it. So this is always the problem when somebody's listening to it one way and somebody else is listening to it another way, and those two things are different, but they don't know they are different, and then they start arguing with each other about this and that, whereas they're actually both correct. So I'll have to point out that in a video next week, so look out for that. So I am going to be jumping into the donations. And this is interesting. Mark says, no difference to a guitarist using effects to enhance their tone. And I've done videos on this and answered it in live streams. It is absolutely different to a guitarist using effects to change their tone and their sound, because I can play a riff on the guitar and I can add delay to it, I can add reverb, I can do anything I want to it, really. But I've played the riff. I have played those notes, and I then added an effect to the notes that I already played. So I already had the ability to play those notes. But if I were to either auto-tune or pitch correct my notes, it means I'm now changing what I played to different notes. So I could take my guitar and I could get a beginner to play any notes, and then using pitch correction or auto-tune, I can now change all of the notes that guitarist played or that beginner played to now fit all of the right notes of the scale of the key that they should have played. And anyone would say, yeah, but they didn't play that. They used something to change what they played, and that's exactly what happens with pitch correction and auto-tune. You're changing the signal. You're not adding an effect after the signal, you are changing the signal. So that's why auto-tune and pitch correction are unique as affects. They're not effects. They don't happen after the event, they happen before it, so that you don't even hear what was produced. So a lot of people have that misconception about what it is to change the pitch of something. And you can change pitch on your guitar, up an octave, down an octave. That's something that guys used to do all the time in the 80s, but they are still playing the guitar, they're still playing the notes, and then doing dive bombs, for example, and then they'll get into the rest of their solo. So at no point are we getting to the point of before the guitarist has played the guitar changing, because that's the kind of thing that's never going to happen. But I have seen it happen where there have been YouTube videos and the person in the video is playing something, but we're hearing something different. But I think you have to be a guitarist to spot that kind of thing. But that's the equivalent of pitch correction or auto-tune, is that they're not actually playing what we are hearing, as in the singer didn't actually produce what we are hearing. They weren't singing that. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that makes sense. It's all about the signal happening before, that is pitch correction, auto-tune. Happening after is all the other effects that you can think of. So anyway, oh yes, lycometer. Was that row that went through there very quickly, so we can see where we are with the likes for tonight. 289 likes so far, so thank you guys for hitting that thumbs up. That means we're looking for 130. It's just gone over to 290, so yes, there we go. And I can see everybody now saying about the lycometer, but it is up there. By the way, quickly before I forget, Jan donated right at the end of the last live stream, and I didn't have time to reference it because I was offline at that point. And Jan donated 50 Norwegian kroner and says, "Good night, Phil." So thank you for that at the end of the last live stream. And Bella says, "That's cheating, isn't it?" And I don't know whether we're still talking about pitch correction and auto-tune, but as music is an art form, it's not something that I would consider cheating, because you've got lots of artists who will use it artistically, and some people that say, I can't sing, therefore I use auto-tune, or I'm not very accurate at singing, so I use pitch correction. And when you're being open about it, I mean, I've said many times before that being open and honest is such an important commodity in the art world, because that's what art is all about. It is that unfiltered expression of what you do. So if somebody does use it and they say, yes, I use it, then yeah, it's an artistic use of a tool, that gets their sound to be how they want it to be. And some singers work at their voice in order for their voice to sound how they want it to sound, or to get it as accurate as how they want it to be. Because I think even still, there's a particular sound to having worked at your voice and hitting notes accurately without tuning that just has so much more expression to it, and a lot of singers would rather do that. As soon as you start calibrating it, you're losing expression and microtones, which is the space between the lines, and that's where expression lives. So yeah, some singers just choose to work at their voice, and some singers or producers or whoever, DJs, whoever they might be, if they can't sing, then they'll use that, and it's an artistic use of it. I think where people maybe get a little bit confused with it is when they feel misled, and they might feel like, not that it's cheating, but they might feel that they have been cheated because they thought somebody was performing a particular way, and therefore the fan gave that person credit for that. But then they find out, and the artist maybe isn't being honest about it, they then find out that it wasn't what they thought it was, and that this person doesn't actually have that ability. They were just pretending to have that ability, and didn't say that, oh, by the way, I'm pretending to do this because I can't do it. And then people might feel a little bit cheated, especially if they spent a lot of money on albums, songs, concert tickets especially. So yeah, if you're going to a show and it's not what you think it's going to be, then I can understand that people might feel cheated about that kind of thing. But yeah, it's because it's an art form, like I've said, it's something that is always going to be subjective, and people, if they are honest about it, it means that at least the fans have the choice to listen to that. I think it is pretty much, well, I consider it universal that when somebody gets credit for something, is because they can do something to an impressive level. So when you've got, let's take sports as the example, even though those are competitions, when you see a great tennis player or a great golf player, a great footballer, all these different things, they have worked at that skill, probably since the age of 5, and they've become amazingly good at it. And guitar as well, you can have the same thing. Some of the really technical guitarists that can play really fast, play really impressive things, and sweet pick arpeggios for days and all that kind of stuff. They've worked at that skill. So how I perceive that myself is, if I see somebody doing something that I can't do, then I'm impressed by that, because I think, wow, I know what's gone into that, and I'm impressed by the level that they've got to. So now when we get to the problem of seeing somebody doing something that they can't actually do, then I would think, oh, well, I can do that. So I'm not going to be impressed with what you're pretending to do, because I can also pretend to do that. So I've said about the bowling, or having the archery target, and just like if you are correcting your singing, like in archery, taking the arrow and going up to the target and just stabbing it in the middle and getting 10 points. And I would think, well, I can do that, but the skill is being able to do it from miles away and be able to hit that target so accurately. That's the skill that you've worked at. So I'm not impressed by somebody going up and stabbing it in the middle, but somebody who's worked at the skill to be able to do it that accurately from so far away, then I find that impressive. So I think there's that parallel between maybe auto-tune, pitch correction, and somebody who's singing naturally. The people tend to, I don't know, gravitate more towards the person who's learned to do it naturally, because it's an impressive skill. Whereas getting something else to do it for you is not as an impressive thing, because you think, well, I think, well, I can do that. So yeah, and that's just my logic behind kind of what I find impressive and what I don't find impressive. So there you go. It's all subjective. So let's now jump into the donations, because we have had a couple of donations in the super chat window. So thank you, Paul, for this $5 donation. The message is: catch up crew for me tonight, have fun and spike the likes, all y'all, love, peace and rock. So thank you for that. And Jennifer has donated $5 and says, Phil, 2 questions. How much of a chance would it be for someone to get hurt singing in a rainstorm? If someone died, who gets the money? Thanks. I have no idea what that question's referring to. How much of a chance would it be for someone to get hurt singing in a rainstorm? Well, I think you've got as much chance to be hurt singing in a rainstorm as the next person who isn't singing in a rainstorm. If you're talking about getting hit by lightning, singing isn't going to make you any more likely to get hit by lightning, so yeah, that wouldn't change it. And if someone died, who gets the money? If somebody dies in a rainstorm, then the people who are in the will to get the proceeds, if they've made a will before the person died, then their family, whoever has been named, will get that. If you're singing in a rainstorm, I think it would be quite a stretch if somebody died in a rainstorm singing your song to then want royalties for them singing it while they died. So yeah, I'm not really sure about the question, but thank you for that, Jennifer. And I am going to be jumping into the PayPal window as well. So Jason says, Phil, there are no rules in music, but are there limits? So again, that's all subjective. That I think everyone's limit generally is honesty, because the people that don't care, if somebody is using auto-tune or pitch correction and they say, I'm using it, they don't care. So they're going to listen to it anyway. They're not bothered. But there are some people who do care. So they want that honesty. So I think the limit is openness and honesty. And I think that's the limit for everything in life. Like if you're buying something, you want to know that what you're buying is genuine, because you want that honesty. And if you don't have that, that's why there are laws and why people are investigated for fraud and things, and fake watches and fake this and the other, and doing different scams. That's why there are laws against that, because that's a lack of honesty. So there are laws against the lack of honesty in commerce. So is something that we live by every day. So when somebody's being dishonest, even though it's with art, people still have that same, I think, that same bar where they set the level of, respecting somebody who's being honest. Like, as soon as somebody tries to sell you something that's fake, and then you realize that it's fake, of course you lose respect for that person, because they've tried to kind of get away with something, and they know what they were doing. And it's exactly the same with auto-tune pitch correction. The person knows what they are doing. So I think it's just a lot more effective just to be honest about it. So then, when I'm asked to look at particular performances, if the person has been honest about it, then when I point it out, the fans don't care because they already know. But the problem is when I point it out and the fans don't know, and I start getting messages from trolls who think that the singer's actually doing it because the singer hasn't been honest. So I just deal with objective data. So if the fans wanted to cross-check my data, they will see that what I'm saying is true. And hence why, my videos haven't been removed, even on the biggest artists around now. Those videos would have been removed if they weren't true. So it's just the point that, unfortunately, if the artist isn't honest, then a lot of people maybe get misled, and some people just really don't want to believe maybe that the idol that they worship isn't as maybe accurate as they thought they were, and in particular cases might be miming live and lip syncing, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you for the questions. And Cindy's donated £30 over on PayPal, so thank you for that, Cindy. And the message is, I think when you did the Eagles analysis last year, that result surprised you. Which analysis that you have done this year has surprised you the most, and why? So thank you for that, Cindy. And I don't know, I mean, generally, I don't know which year we're in with analysis videos. I do one to the next, and I don't know whether one that I did it might have been last year or would have been this year. But what I will say is, the only one that springs to mind in a positive way was Cher when she performed. And everyone, I think a lot of people thought that she was going to lip sync, mime, but then she came out and performed fully live and sang fully live, and the performance wasn't post-edited, post-pitch corrected, auto-tuned, anything like that. So I believe that was earlier this year. So that's just the one that popped into my mind, because it was a nice surprise. You think, oh, that's great that she's actually singing live, and the performance hasn't then been post-edited, because everything, I say everything, well, that's the exception to the rule. 99.9% of performances go through some kind of processing once they're released to the masses online. So it's great to see that. So thank you for that, Cindy. And just jumping into the next donation. Oh, I think that might have skipped. Oh, it was Bryony who donated £5. Thank you for that. And the message is just because. So thank you. And Nicole donated £20 as well. Thank you for that. And the message is, hello Phil, congrats on your conquering march. Good weekend, Phil. You're great. So thank you for that. And Debbie has donated £5. And that is a straight up donation. So thank you for that, Debbie. Karen's donated £25. Thank you for that, Karen. And that's a straight up donation as well. And Jason's donated £20 and 65 pence. So thank you for that, Jason. And the message is, hi from Germany via Newcastle, UK. Great channel, Phil. You definitely don't need pitch correction. All the best. So thank you for that, Jason. And for the compliment and the donation. Diane's donated $3.53. Thank you for that. And the message is, to quote the DC5, just because. Thanks for everything. Rock. And Laura's donated £10 as well. So thank you for that. And the message is, no one would pay to see the Mona Lisa if it was painted by numbers. Why would I pay to see a band lip sync? So thank you for that. And again, totally subjective as to how you feel about it, but certainly looking at, I mean, when you take the art form and, you know, being honest, and when we're talking about pieces of art, if somebody printed off a piece of art and then sold it at an auction for a ridiculous amount of money, and then the person who bought it realized it was just a printout and it wasn't the original, I think that kind of encapsulates the whole honesty thing, that you thought it was one thing but it turns out to be another. And especially when if the person's spending a lot of money, yeah, the honesty is the most important thing. So yeah, I don't think people would, well, people do pay for copies of art, but it's a fraction of what they would spend for the original painting. And this is why, you know, when you're talking about originals, if we're referring or relating this to music and singing, the original has to be the artist's genuine, authentic voice. That is the thing that would hold the most value, because it's the original. As soon as you now change that original and have your own version of it, whether, you know, like a print off of their voice, or you're starting to change their voice, you know, by effectively I was just thinking of that portrait in the church that needed to be restored, but while the I don't know who it was, the priest or whoever was on holiday, she decided that she could do it herself, and she wasn't very good at art, and she painted the picture, and I think it was supposed to be Jesus, but all I can see is the final painting that she did. And from that painting, in my mind's eye, I can't make out who it's supposed to be, but I think it was supposed to be Jesus. But anyway, that's the example, that you've got the original artwork, and then somebody takes that, i.e. a producer, if we're talking about singing, they're taking somebody else's artwork and then changing it as to how they think it should be. And that's what's crazy about, you know, editing voices like Sir Paul McCartney that we looked at on the channel, where a producer has thought, oh, I can make this better. It's exactly the same as that woman thinking, I can make this picture of Jesus better, but she didn't have any ability to paint it, or, you know, even compete with the original. So I don't know whether, you'll have to look that up online if you haven't seen it, and you'll have to look at the final picture so that you can see what I'm seeing in my head and why I can't tell what it's a picture of. So yeah, that's kind of a good parallel, I think, when we're talking about art. Right, so thank you for that, Laura. And we've had a few more donations, and Jennifer has donated $5 again. Thank you for that. The message is, thinking of an Eagles concert that was in the pouring rain. Wondered how dangerous it was. Sorry. Oh, okay, so thank you. Yeah. So if you're talking about an actual band, like, for, I think probably a good example of this would have been Prince at the Super Bowl, where he was performing and it was chucking it down with rain, and they hadn't planned for that. So it means that there was certainly a potential for something to go wrong, to happen, maybe to get a short circuit, everything to stop working. There might have been a risk of electrocution, potentially, but thankfully it all went off, and, you know, Prince just went out there and did it. And I think, you know, from what he said, that he wanted it to rain even harder, especially for, you know, Purple Rain, doing it in those kinds of conditions. It just was great as a spectacle, but it probably was a little bit dangerous as well. But everything was fine. Now, Jennifer donated $5 again, saying the same thing. I think maybe if, say for example, Prince was electrocuted during that performance, then there would absolutely have been a court case or court proceedings and suing and damages paid to his estate, because if you're going out there and performing and it's, you know, for the Super Bowl. There are lots of things that are or should be in place from a health and safety perspective. So I think, I don't know whether nowadays, they would definitely plan for that happening. So they might have some kind of cover or sheeting that covers the main stage so that it rains around the stadium, but everything is kept dry, or as dry as it can be, for the live performance. But yeah, as you could see, that wasn't the case. There were puddles on the stage. So I'm not sure nowadays that, first of all, it would be set up the way that it was, but then second of all, that if it wasn't set up like that, that it would even go ahead, because health and safety now would say there's absolutely no way that you're going to do the show at half time with no cover and how it is raining at the moment, considering that we haven't made everything watertight on stage. There's always the chance that something could go wrong and could have gone wrong, but thankfully it didn't. So yeah, absolutely, people are going to lose a lot of money if that kind of thing were to happen, if somebody were to die during a performance like that where health and safety wasn't up to scratch, wasn't enforced enough, and things weren't covered like they should have been to make the performance safe. Anyway, thank you, the Cold Rush 22, who has donated $9.99, and the message is: have you discussed what was used in the back to the beginning live stream to clean up Aussie vocals? Were Vox pre-recorded and then dubbed in, or on the fly vocal manipulation? Love Oz regardless. So thank you for that. And yeah, I said at the beginning of this stream that I am going to be doing that next week, because I'm getting lots of messages exactly like this. And now the thing about saying things is that, me saying things, I've mentioned about my videos staying up, even though they are pointing out things that I know for a fact the artist and the legal teams of the artists involved, they don't want people to know about what I've been pointing out, but my videos do stay up because they are watertight, as we were just talking about rain, but they're watertight from a legal perspective. So if I say anything now on my live stream about what was actually going on, I can't present the objective data. So I need to have isolated vocals, pitch data on screen, cross-referencing one from the other, and taking the crowd footage, isolating those vocals, all of that different stuff, showing the TV footage, showing footage of actually being there, what it sounded like. So that's what I will be doing. And when I have done that video, then of course I can comment on it, because I've now presented the objective data. So therefore it's not me saying something that's untrue or could be speculation, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, look out for that next week, because I have been getting a lot of requests for it, and here is another one. I will point out what was going on, but again, like I said at the beginning of this live stream, I think it was more about the spectacle and just having that final show for fans to be able to enjoy, and it wasn't really about how accurate is the vocal and it's not accurate enough, all that kind of stuff. So thank you, Karen, as well, who has donated $10, and the message is: the Goo Goo Dolls performed Iris in absolute floods of rain. So thank you for that. Yeah, there have been a lot of performances that have been performed in the rain, and they weren't necessarily set up that way. So there's always an outside chance that something can go very wrong. But yeah, hopefully, and I think thankfully with most performances, if they are run professionally, there's a little chance that something can happen. But yeah, it might be the case that a few artists have dodged a bullet here or there with their live performances when it has been absolutely pelting it down with rain. But anyway, Maltese just popped in with a $49.99 donation, so thank you for that. And the message is: Phil, now that the public broadcasting system is no longer receiving any funding from the US government, I must reshuffle my arts giving. Will be pausing live stream attendance for a while. Will be back later though. So thank you for that. And that's absolutely fine. As I say, you don't have to donate. Just watching is great. So yeah, you can tune in. But thank you very much for the donation. But it isn't required, or it's not essential for what I do on the channel, and people having different analysis videos of different shows and artists and bands. I just do what I do, and thank you for the for the donations and the people that do donate. But if you are just watching and you want me to take a look at a particular performance, then I will do that. And I will be setting up, and actually I have set up, the request email. So I think it's all working now. So, I mean, this will be the first requests that come through to that email address. It's requests@wingsofpegasus.com. That's as simple as it is. So if you want to send through a request, you don't have to donate. You can just email to that. And, I mean, if you want to test that email out, I don't think I've said what it is yet, like, so that people have started requesting through that official email. But the reason that I've done that is because I'm getting so many messages now all over the place about, I mean, a lot of pitch correction, auto-tune stuff, with people wanting to know, oh, is this real, is this fake, and what did they do here, and why does it sound like that, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm getting that from all over the place, as well as other requests for performances to take a look at, which might be a little bit more like the old analysis videos. But yeah, there are so many coming through that through the other social media sites I can't keep up with them. So there has to be one way that people put through their requests or send in their requests, so that I can just access them all in one place. Because getting through, I mean, we're almost at 500,000 subscribers now on YouTube, so it's kind of reached that tipping point where if people were just requesting in one place, then that'd be fine. But I don't even use Facebook, and I regularly get messages on Facebook and requests on Facebook, even though I don't use Facebook. So the only reason I go on there is for the Wings of Pegasus official page, and you'll see that I haven't updated that in I don't know how long, but people still email and message through requests through that. So something I don't even use, people are sending requests through. Same on Instagram. I don't use the Wings of Pegasus Instagram for requests, but people still send through things on there. So yeah, if I can get all of those people that are requesting videos in on Facebook and Instagram, and I've given up with Twitter, but it's now called X, but I gave up with that probably years ago because it's just too much to keep on top of. So yeah, that one email address is where the official requests will come through. So if you are requesting something in a random place like Facebook or Instagram, something like that, then I might see it, but I might not. So if I don't cover that, then don't be highly offended that I haven't covered the analysis video. It's just that there's so many coming through that there's got to be an official channel for those requests to come through. Because I also get loads of requests through the business email that I've got, which I explicitly say is just for business inquiries, and people are wanting me to do analysis videos, which aren't business inquiries. That's not something where people are looking for me to do a sponsored video or anything like that. I don't do sponsored videos, so all of the emails that I do get through, I just kindly say that I don't make sponsored videos. But even still, the point is that those requests are coming through to the business email, and because I don't do sponsored videos, those requests that are coming through with all of these other business requests or sponsorship pitches to me, those might get lost as well. So yeah, just to let you guys know. And maybe I'll do a video on this, or a very quick video, or maybe a shorts video, I don't know, for the channel, just to let everybody know that requests@wingsofpegasus.com is where to officially request a video, because I can't keep track of all of them. So anyway, yes, thank you for that donation, Maltese. And Karen has donated $5 and says, what about old requests? I requested one over a year ago. Will it be on the new list? So all of the requests that I have put down on my list are still there. So if I have spoken to you about a particular request that you've made, and I've said, for example, that it can take a very long time to get to that particular video because I get so many requests, then I'll get there at some point. But I've had people that have said, oh, I made a request 2 years ago, and it might have been that I was about to do that video, or I did it that week. So yeah, obviously the more subscribers there are, the more requests come in, and potentially the longer the wait is in order to get to the video. But yeah, that's just the way it is. With almost 500,000 subscribers, there are going to be a lot of requests in there. So yeah, I kind of do my best with it. But I think probably once I start being able to organize it into, you know, the official requests, it might be, you know, a good idea to just make sure that that request is on the official request list, just to be safe about it. So email it to requests@wingsofpegasus.com, and then it will definitely be there. It will be in that official inbox, because I think more likely in the future, if things are really hectic, I'll always go back to the official list of what I'm going to be looking at, rather than me having to go over to Instagram, Facebook, and try and find, oh, what did this person say about that performance, and was that, you know, in the business email or the Facebook or the Instagram or the website contact page. Yeah, there's so many different messages that come through. But anyway, yeah, thank you for that, Karen. And I think, well, we've had another donation over on PayPal, and this is from Julia for £25. So thank you for that, Julia. And the message is, hi Phil, missed you and your truth, Julesy. So thank you for that, and thank you for tuning in again. So how are we doing? We're one away, and there we go, we've hit the likes goal for tonight already. So thank you guys for hitting that thumbs up. And it's coming up to 5 to midnight. So that was a very early success for the likeometer, getting to 421 now. You can keep on hitting that thumbs up if you want to. It would be very much appreciated, because it helps these live streams to get out there a little bit more, and for the channel to grow on the whole as well. So we will be busting out the guitar a little bit later on to have a fill jam, but what are we looking at time wise? 6 minutes and 27 seconds for the fill jam tonight. And we've been having a vote at the top of the live chat room, and that's between my version of Hero and Parisian Walkways. And it looks like Hero, again, a bit of a tight vote for tonight. Hero is in the lead with 54% of the vote, and that is the Chad Kroger song for the Spider-Man movie. Even though I don't think that's very well known. Maybe the song's well known, I don't know, but it was just requested that I did a cover of it, and I didn't even know it was on the Spider-Man movie. But then obviously once it was confirmed that it was on the Spider-Man movie, then that meant that I did the cover video, because yeah, I'm a fan of what I would say is the old type superhero movies. So like, for example, just recently on TV there was Superman 2, the old one with Christopher Reeve in it. And yeah, the older type of superhero movies I quite like, but yeah, I'm not as into the new ones, because I know that there are loads of different characters, and maybe I just know the main ones, like, yeah, Superman and Spider-Man and Iron Man. I think Iron Man is probably right at the edge of the superhero thing that I kind of I wouldn't say got into, but that I knew about when I was growing up. So yeah, especially Superman. So yeah, Christopher Reeve was the Superman that I knew, the Superman that I saw in different movies. And I've said about the first one being really good, second one I still think is good, third one being not as good, and then the fourth one being a kind of no comment movie, because I do believe in that movie that Superman flies into space with Lois Lane. So that's something that I think, well, if I were somebody involved with the production of that movie, I'd say, well, we can't really do that. It's not something that is going to not going to fly, no pun intended. But yeah, starting to get people up into space and just pretending like there's air up there and they're flying around, you think, yeah, okay, it's maybe a step too far. But yeah, all of the more modern ones, I watched Iron Man, which I thought was quite good, the first one. Maybe I saw the second one, but I lose track of where they went after that, how many there were. But then Iron Man was in a movie where there was Spider-Man, and there was also Thor in a movie that had, I think, Spider-Man and Wonder Woman was in her movie and in another movie, and then Batman was in a Superman movie. So yeah, they're all getting involved with each other. And what I don't get, there's a movie called Batman versus Superman. So you think, well, how is Batman ever going to win? Because Batman's a normal man against Superman, who could just put his eyes through you if he wanted to, you know, with the heat. So he could just evaporate you with heat. But luckily he didn't choose to do that when he was fighting Batman. Maybe he thought, oh, I've got to make it a bit of a fair fight and not use all of my powers. So anyway, we got sidetracked. So we are going to be jumping into Spider-Man Hero, the song. That's why I got into that. Just trying to think, how did I get sidetracked? So yeah, the old Spider-Man movies as well with, is it Tobey Maguire? I might have made that name up, but I think that might have been the actor where he did, I think, 3 of them. And the first one, I think, was quite good. The second one might have been Octavius. The third one, I think, was, yeah, all right, but maybe not as good as the... It's always difficult doing lots of sequels to movies because you're always going to struggle to get it as good as the first one. So anyway, enough chat about superheroes and all that kind of stuff. We are going to be jumping into, it looks like, Hero. So it is going to be relevant to what I was just talking about. And I'm waiting for this to come through. For some reason, I'm going to have to refresh because this is... I'm just making sure that I am still live. Because, yeah, I am, which is good. Because, yeah, my comments had frozen from Jason at the beginning of the live stream. So, let's have a look. Yeah, so it was Hero that had 54% of the vote. Oh, I used to watch a cartoon when I was a kid that was called Banana Man. And it was about a kid who, when he ate a banana, he turned into Banana Man. I don't know what Banana Man could actually do. I'm going to have to watch that cartoon again to see what his superpower was. Because, yeah. Oh, hang on. Lycometer went a bit funny there. Right. We will jump into this. And yeah, it's my version of Hero from Spider-Man. And I'll see you guys after this. Rock!
I am so high, I can hear heaven. I'm so high, I can hear heaven. why I fear it won't do. They say that a hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand here and wait. Hold on to the wings of the eagles. Watch as they all fly away. They're watching us. They're watching us as we all fly away. They're watching us. They're watching us as we all fly away. They're watching us. They're watching us as we all fly away.
And there we have it. That was my version of Hero from the Spider-Man movie. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So, we are going to be jumping into Picture Corner in a second because we've got a couple to look at in there. But we've had, a couple of donations. So, David's donated $2. Thank you for that. And the message is, does England have its own superheroes? I don't know. There must be some that were created in England. We used to have, they weren't really superheroes. It was like what they call comics, like different comics, and obviously, that's how it all started anyway, with superheroes. But when I was a kid, there was one called the Dandy, and they weren't really superheroes. They're just I can't even remember the guys. It's something like Desperate Dan or something his name was, and it's a really big kind of cowboy person. I don't know what he did. I was too young to remember what I was reading about. But then we had the Beano as well, which I used to get, which is just about a boy who kind of got into trouble all the time. But as for superheroes, I can't remember. Like cartoons that I used to watch, like He-Man. That was, and Thundercats, all that kind of stuff. But I think this is all, like American shows that were shown on TV here in the UK. But there must be some. I think Banana Man was like a UK superhero, so it kind of gives you an idea of the difference in levels of different heroes, and one that's from the UK. But we also had, this might have been American as well, but we had Danger Mouse. So that's like a mouse who... I think Inspector Gadget was American as well. I don't know how many were from the UK, but these are more kind of kids' cartoons rather than superheroes that are really well known. Anyway, yes, another donation over on PayPal as well. And... it's just a notification about Adobe and the various things that I get charged for when random things go through. They're not random, they're things that I have to pay for in order to keep everything running. And the amount of things that are Adobe, it just seems like there's always something coming out of PayPal that's to do with Adobe, like different, just opening documents. You need to be able to open it, or have to pay like $9.99 a month just to be able to open a document with a particular program. And then obviously there's like Photoshop as well, and editing software, and lots and lots of stuff going on. So this is why, yes, the donations are very much appreciated, because you have to pay for everything every month now, rather than just paying for a piece of software and then you have it for life. You have to keep on paying. Anyway, right, we are going to be jumping into the Phil Jam for tonight. Picture Corner, almost forgot. And let's jump in there now, and let me see where this is going to appear. It's almost in the middle of the screen, so that'll do. This is Renee, who has sent in this picture saying, my Wings of Pegasus hat made it onto a cruise ship going around Spain and Portugal this summer. So thank you for that, Renee. And we have another one. And this is just picture that was uploaded on, I think, maybe the supporters page, and it's Amy who uploaded this and said, at the last live stream, Phil said his hair gets bigger as the temperature rises. As a joke, here is a fictional hair heat index showing Phil's fabulous hair as it gets hotter. Read first row, left to right, then second row. So thank you for that. And you can see, I would say that this one here technically is a bit of a cheat, because that's when I've almost jumped up in the air and I'm on the way down. So you can see all this stuff here is up in the air. So it's not genuine volume, but yeah. Oh, hang on. We have like -10 is apparently this hair. 0 is apparently this hair. 20C is apparently this hair, and then 40C is also jumping. So there we go, and there we have it for Picture Corner tonight. So thank you for sending those in, and Laura for linking me to them. Now, according to this index, let me have a look at where my hair is now. I would say my hair now, and because it is a bit warmer, is probably in the index 20. Maybe 28, which is probably about right. So there you go. The index, I'd say, is quite accurate, and I'm going on the thickness here, that like, you know, Princess Leia hair or ears. The hair looks like that because it gets really thick at the sides and when things start heating up. So there you go. I would say about 28 for tonight. Right now, oh, there's been another donation. Let me quickly address this. Blaine has donated £3.53. So thank you for that. And oh, the message is thanks, Phil, and thank you, Blaine, for watching. Right. Karen's donated $5. Thank you for that. The message is, did you have the Archie comics? I don't think so. If we did, I didn't read them. But we had Asterix comic. Oh, and Tintin. So yeah, those were another couple of I don't know, but again, not superheroes really, just comics. Right, Totoro Borgo says your hair is a hygrometer. So thank you for that, and that's a $2 donation, or a hygrometer, depending on how you want to say it. Right, microphone on. So we're already winning because I've forgotten to do that on the last 2 live streams, which makes it a bit silly. Me playing the guitar and then you not being able to hear it. Is that coming through? Yeah, I think so. Right. So, Phil Jam number 249. Let's click on this and try and avoid the advert coming through. Right, this is Cool Groove Melodic Rock backing track in A minor. And this is from YT Jan Tracks, YT capital letters, which is obviously supposed to be YouTube. Oh, let me skip this advert. Now, as for the volume, if you can let me know what it's like, that would be good. I have to hear this track to begin with to see how loud it is. We are already zoomed out, for those asking. There's the red dude. there we have it. That was quite a nice ending as well, because it felt like it was going to end there, and it did end there. So that was Cool Groove Melodic Rock backing track in A minor from YT Jam Tracks. So thank you, Joe, for sending that my way. And yeah, if you guys want to check out that particular backing track to have a jam along to yourselves, then you can do. You know where to go. Right, now I think we are up to date with everything. So we've just gone past a quarter past midnight here in the UK, so it's time to call things to a close. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I'm going to be here with another video tomorrow night, so look out for that one. I'll be live streaming on Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, as always, so that's where I will be. If you can join me, that'd be very much appreciated, because we'll have another likes goal that we have to try and hit on Tuesday to have another filled jam. But I will catch you guys at the video tomorrow night, and as I always say, try to stay as safe and as sane as possible in this crazy world in which we live. And thank you, Dwayne, for this donation of £70.65, and don't worry if that's a mistake, we can sort that out afterwards, because on PayPal it's very easy to do that. But thank you for that, Dwayne, and the messages. I really enjoy all your content. Regards, Dwayne Spears. So thank you for that, Dwayne. Yeah, try to stay safe, sane in this world, and I will see you guys at tomorrow night's video, and hopefully the stream on Tuesday if you guys can make it. So I will see you then. Have a great rest of your weekend. Rock!